It's Radio 101.1 FM. Today is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we'll be taking a look at two topical and trending issues across Nigeria. I am Peter, and as usual, I'm not alone. I have Harry Spice in the studio.
Good morning, Peter.
I also have Ikeke Igado. You're welcome to X-Ray.
Thank you, Peter.
Let's start with the government reinstatement of the ex-pension boss and the sudden dismissal that occurred right after that. It is one of the trending topics, you will agree with me. The story of the reinstatement of the ex-pension boss. You remember Abdul Rashid Maina, despite being on the wanted list of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has been dominating headlines for quite some time now. Maina, the former chairman of the defunct Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms, was secretly recalled to the service and promoted to head a directorate in the Interior Ministry, casting doubts on the anti-corruption war of the current administration. On Monday, the head of Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyo-Ita, said there is no truth in the reports that she approved Maina's reinstatement and his subsequent posting to the Ministry of Interior, a claim that contradicts the position of the Minister of Interior, Abdulrahman Dambazo, who had earlier absolved himself of involvement in the matter. Reforms Abdul Rashid Maina from service. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, disclosed this in a statement yesterday, Monday. And Buhari also directed the head of Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyo-Ita, to submit a report on the circumstances surrounding Maina's reinstatement to his Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, before the close of work on Monday. So we're expecting that will have been submitted, and that obviously sounds like a query. But Maina was also appointed by the former President Goodluck Jonathan as the chairman of the task force in 2010 to check the corruption in the country's pension system. In 2012, the Nigeria police accused him of misappropriating 100 billion naira pension funds in coalition with others, and it was arraigned in absentia by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which declared him wanted in 2015. So there you have it. According to Harry Spice, before we came on air, he said, this is the man with the 9 lives.
Yes. Maina has remained a recurring decimal in our national history, but unfortunately it's not to the good of the country. It's a sore test in our collective consciousness, being that a man saddled with the responsibility of cleaning up the mess in the pension sector ended up, immersing himself in more corrupt practices. Throughout his time as the pension boss, it was a running battle between him and the Senate as well as the EFCC. At a point, he was even seen to be given some kind of presidential backing by the former president. He drove and hiked and even fly with the president whenever the president travels, even while the EFCC was looking for him. So when I say he has 9 lives, it's not really, I'm not trying to be hyperbolical. It's actually the reality. And the shocking thing is that he came, and the President Muhammadu Buhari that we considered and believed so much in, that he's going to wipe out corruption, under his own watch, we saw a Maina resuming his duty as a director. Remember, he was an assistant director. Then from nowhere, even while he was declared, he returned and became a director without promotion exams. With all the baggage of corrupt allegation on him, whoever reinstated him should be fished out. I'm not really interested or impressed with the president's declaration that the guy should be resacked, because he's been sacked over and over. Now they say he should be resacked. Whoever authorized Maina's return to office should be fished out. With this, we are strengthening our institution. Now the head of service is talking in denial. The Minister of Interior is also talking in denial. Now, names are flying around, allegations are flying around, debunking are also going on. Until we know who actually authorized his release, I'm not really impressed with the president directive that the man should be sacked. Remember, he's a fugitive on the run, and meaning he's in the country, he should be arrested and handed over to the EFCC to commence their investigation or prosecution, as the case may be.
Okay.
One of the funny things about the May Now saga, if I can call it that, is the fact that he is not a spirit. And how can he, we heard that this event was very, very enormous that time. He disappeared. Nobody could trace him. And then how can he just drop from the skies to now get into Minister of Interior, and nobody can say, okay, I am responsible, or he came in through this way. Look at the allegations. The minister said, no, I'm not. I don't have the powers to do that. It's the Federal Civil Service. And then the person heading Federal Service said, no, it's not true. So we need to get to that point and identify how did he get there. And then we should also be thinking, most especially, the monies that were misappropriated or the monies that were stolen by this man, we should be thinking of how to get those monies. It's very key. We need this in this country now. How do we recover those monies? That should be the one. How can we arrest this person? Because, EFCC said he's still on their wanted list. And there's these allegations too. The sister security agencies are trading, accusations. They said these ones are protecting him, and they said these ones are not protecting him. So we have issues. They said this man moves around with security guys. Our own security officers are giving him protection.
Isn't that a common thing in Nigeria that we've seen? Which is why a lot of Nigerians have questioned the credibility of the anti-corruption
fight. Why are we protecting and defending those who are fraudulent? A man is on the wanted list, and the nation's security apparatus is providing cover for that person. So we don't know where we're heading to.
The hegemony class will always have the upper one as far as certain privileges are concerned in this country. A common thief is easily cited and arrested, but the bigger thieves are always protected. It beats my imagination that a minor, a single man, would be evading arrest. I'm not even sure the EFCC is actually serious to arrest him. If they are really serious, they should have arrested him by now. For a man to come back to office as a director, that means there's a high level of authority protection, kind of, for this very blue blood civil servant, if I may use that word, because I can't just imagine that somebody that was declared by the authority as missing will resumed work and reinstated as a director. Now, what we're hearing in the news that he has escaped to where? Is this man a spirit, as Oikeke will say?
Quite a disturbing trend, and of course the president has reacted to this very key issue. The president is on his way to Niger, we understand as well. But the question is, do you think that a final decision will be taken as to whether the president will give a directive for an immediate arrest? Let's not forget again, is the president responsible for the EFCC, or are they supposed to be independent?
Precedent matters a lot in governance. Over time, the president has shown some level of laxity and complacency when it comes to handling corrupt cases, especially those under him. We still remember the Oke Babachil saga. The report is still lying beautifully in the shelf of the president. When is he going to take action on it? There was an alleged bribery that involved some key people in his government with one of the telecom industries. What has happened? Nobody has actually heard anything from that. So there are so many issues, pending issues of corruption that has happened in this very current regime that no action has been taken. So I'm still not surprised. I won't be surprised, and I'm not impressed with the recent declaration that the man should be sacked. It's not about the sack. Now, who actually ordered his reinstatement should be the number one question. I'm sure the president has no hand in that. But he should begin to ask, who are these guys undermining my power as the president of this country? Who are those people undermining the structure of governance of institutions in this country? We should begin to ask so that people will be held responsible for their actions and inaction. The head of service is the one in charge of this whole mess. She should come out clean and tell us what actually transpired. We're doing this not because we hate minor, or we're trying to stop future occurrence. We're trying to sanitize the system, and in doing so, we must do so with clean hands.
We know certainly that somebody is responsible for that reinstatement. Who it is, we cannot tell for now. But somebody somewhere is responsible for penning down that name and approving of it. Do you think that among, between the civil service heads, in this instance, Dambazo and the head of civil service, Yoita, something must have been brewing beneath that they are not aware of? Is it possible that these names came and they didn't see the names, or was it possible that at some point they saw the names and they overlooked it?
First,
I mean, if you're heading a directorate, shouldn't your bosses be aware?
Yes, of course. I think the first step that what the president did, the president actually is the Federal Civil Service Commission that has the responsibility to sack someone, but then a civil servant. But the president, like Harry Spice will always say, is the number one man. Anything happening under him, he had been kind of strong control. So it's right, and it's okay that at least he gave this initial directive that this man be sacked or be removed. But I don't think between Dambazon and the head of civil service, it's not possible for this kind of enormous thing to happen. I mean, somebody must have sent a letter, they must know. If we hold two of them responsible, I'm sure by the end of the day we would know the truth about how this man came into the Ministry of Interior.
And if truth must be told, the people around the president, his lieutenants, are not in tandem with his vision. We must begin to speak to truth and realities. The president seems to be a lowly Londoner, a lone ranger in the fight against corruption, in the steering the affairs of the state. Every day we hear conflicting information, amongst his aides. That means something is fundamentally wrong in terms of cohesion in governance. Until the president, bring these guys together and really, if it's to reorient them in how to run his vision, otherwise he should dislodge them and look for new people. Because every day you hear discordant tones from his aides.
I mean, even the other time, the wife of the president was the person that even came out to say, look, we'll stay in the house and we're hearing appointments on radio and on TV. And, I mean, there's a sign that so many things are going on without his knowledge.
Do you think that even if the president had the right people, things will change? Because, again, you want to look at the decay in the civil service. We know some of the excesses that have occurred over the time past. And that has never been a funny story at all.
Peter, governing a structure is actually not too difficult. What you need to do is to strengthen the institution. When President Buhari assumed office, the first 2 months of his assumption, you could see how civil servants, everybody, the system actually woke up to reality. Then after like some months, everybody reclined when they discovered that, okay, this man that came now is not the biting Buhari that we used to know. So what we're saying is that the body language of a leader determines the outcome.
There you go again. You Goodluck Jonathan was accused of body language. Now we're bringing body language to the subject.
Yes. Until, this is leadership. A charismatic leader defines a charismatic
Is
outlook.
leadership determined by the look of the person or the abilities?
What we're talking, when we're not talking about the tangibles, even the intangible manifestation of a leader affects, the structure of governance. For instance, the main measure of Buhari in 1983 or 81, it's enough to send shivers down people's spine. We expected that to happen in 2015, but it's not happening. The Buhari we knew then would never tolerate indolence. He would never tolerate anything called laziness. You would never tolerate anything called indiscipline. But today, these are manifestations in our today's reality. So we are now wondering that what has happened to our General Muhammadu Buhari. The President Muhammadu Buhari we have today is actually different from the General Muhammadu Buhari we know. We, as advocates for good governance, for social justice, were saying that President Muhammadu Buhari should go back to his former self and begin to act with decisiveness.
But you know that is not possible. I mean, he operated in the past under the military regime. This is democracy. Even Nigeria itself is grappling.
We're not saying he should begin to abuse rights. We're saying that he should strengthen institutions. All the institutions should be made to do their work. And this is not, it has nothing to do with right abuse. We're talking of institutional strengthening. For instance, the EFCC must be allowed to do its work. The Nigerian Broadcasting Commission should also be allowed to do its work. You know, the police should also be allowed to do their work. This is what we're talking about. You know, once anybody is found guilty, he should be prosecuted by the, should be dealt with by the judiciary. No political interference, no political correctness, no ethnic consideration, no nepotic consideration. What we're saying is that the system must begin to work. If the son of Buhari is caught capable or culpable of any crime, the law should take its course. It's happening in other crimes. We should begin to adopt democracy that we copy from the Western world. We have democracy, but we're not abiding by the tenets of democracy. That is what we're talking about. The institutions must be allowed to run its full course.
Do you agree with that, Oyikeke?
Yes, it should really. You know, but
and whose fault is that? Is it the president's fault or the system?
It should be the system, and then the president. You know, when during the campaigns, one of the things that the opposition or the other people were holding was that, look, this man is a dictator. This man will clamp on you. This man will do this, and this one will do that. And I'm sure, you know, that fear was in people initially when he came in. But like he said, we have seen that it's not what it used to be with a man, probably because of some reasons or some obvious reasons. Age is there and some other things. So I think people have understood and read and known that this man is not what he used to be. And so they have sat back and said, well, I mean, we are sure most of the things happening, he may not even know anyway. He's just there. And and they probably have tried one or two things, and then nothing happened, and then we went back to our old self. So it's a serious thing.
That is how the human mind works.
Yes.
When we react to situation as they favor us. If just like a living organism, when we see that environment is conducive, we manifest in whatever it is that favors us. What we're saying is that the president is treating our institution with kids' gloves. So many things are happening and the man is looking away. He should begin to speak, bite and back. You know, with that, like he did in the judiciary, when some corrupt judges were rounded up and invaded, that was a move to check people, whether you like it or not. That act actually resonated some actions in the judiciary. We are beginning to have some level of sanity in the judiciary, because the body that regulates the judiciary also align with the position of the president.
Well, but we're seeing sanitary instances in terms of how the judiciary is changing, right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But how many convictions have we seen in the anti-corruption fight?
You know, now you're taking us to the technicality of.
There's nothing technical about it. How many people have been convicted? We've seen quite a number of arrests. How many convictions have occurred?
As we're making the arrest, we're also making recovery. I think we should give kudos to the president in that aspect. We've had people convicted before and money's gone. You know, some even freeze. We remember what happened in the last dispensation, where some governors who were indicted were given fines, very minimal fines to go away with. You remember what happened. So what we're saying is that we're not interested in the conviction part, we're interested in the recovery. Then institutions that will ensure that these people are thoroughly dealt with, be put in place.
And that
Recently,
too.
recently the judiciary came. There was a special court set aside for corrupt cases. That to me is a revolution, championed by the president, which we should actually give him kudos for that. This is what we're saying. He should begin to, extend this foresight like he did in the security, in security situation. Now, whether you like it or not, we have minimal, security calmness in the country. So he should begin to do so, especially those around him. There are so many stories about misappropriation, around with people working around. He should begin to act decisively. I don't know why the report on Babachir and OK is still pending.
And that conviction too is very key. I believe that by the end of the fight against corruption, especially as the of this administration is concerned, if by the end of the day we are able to see some persons in prison for monies that were looted for things that they did, if we begin to see some ministers, we begin to see some governors in prison, it's going to help because it will serve as deterrent. I mean, you come in and you know, okay, if I loot the treasury in a way this person did or in any way, I can end up in jail, in prison by the end of the day. So I think it will begin to help us, direct our steps into the right track, knowing that we may not be able to go. But the things we used to see before, people just talk about it. This governor looted this amount of money. We have it in the media, and then by the end of the day, the person is moving around free. Nothing happens. Nothing is done about it. So if we continue to fight corruption this way, things may not change.
A certain professor of criminology, Professor Femi Odekwele, once advocated, I think he's a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, that you can't continue to do the same thing and expect result perennially. It doesn't work that way. We've tried to use the judiciary, in prosecuting looters, and it always end up with, the technicalities of the court. So what the learned professor said was that there should be amnesty for looters. Give them time to refund what they've stolen. Over time, you can now, when you've recovered all that was stolen, then you can now begin to prosecute them. Now, if you are fighting these people, you remember they have the money to hire the best lawyers. We've had a situation in this country where about 30 senior advocates of Nigeria followed a particular person to the court in his defense. You understand? So the system, it's the people. What we give the system is what the system is giving us. If you're saying the president should ensure due diligent prosecution, and the same citizens are also up against what the president is advocating for, you see that we'll be rigmaroling in the same vicious cycle of stagnation. We are not going anywhere. So I like what is happening. People are entering into play bargain, return what you've stolen. We'll give you minimal launch pad or soft landing, as the case may be. A certain minister of the federal capital recently in the news, we learned that him and the son forfeited some things. The former minister of petroleum in exile somewhere in the UK, also the court actually forced her to forfeit some properties and monies that she allegedly embezzled. So this, to me, it's a systematic way of fighting corruption and recovering stolen assets. If you leave it to technicality, these guys will always come out at the end of the day. Money defines justice in most cases, even not in Nigeria, all over the world. Money is a defining factor. So until we begin to see ourselves as, begin to do things as nationalist, what is wrong is wrong. We'll define our existence based on the moral conscience or fiber of our society. That is when we are going to have a better society. Otherwise, technicalities, strategies, conspiracies will always define our national life. And that is why we are where we are today.
The hunter has become the hunted. Abdul Rashid Maina, the former chairman of the defunct Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms, was supposed to hunt for those who had stolen pension funds but was secretly recalled to the service and promoted to the head of directorate in the Interior Ministry, casting more doubts about the anti-corruption war in the current administration, questioning, of course, the credibility of certain responsibilities that have been vetted into the hands of certain persons. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Announcement. All sons and daughters of Ibra Nation are cordially invited to the 50th anniversary of Ibra People's Association, EPA. It is a special golden jubilee from 1967 to 2017 to celebrate our proud history and unity as a people. This is an opportunity to reposition our common efforts towards the development and progress of our fatherland. The theme of our discussion is Ethnic Nationality and Ibra Agenda in the Restructuring Debate. Date, Saturday, 28 October 2017. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Venue, Afim Hotels, Lagos Road, Okene. Special guest of honor, Alhaji Yahaya Adoza Bello, the Executive Governor of Kogi State. Chief host, His Royal Majesty, Dr. Ado Ibrahim, OON, the Ohinoi of Ibraland. Host, Dr. Abdurrahman Adeza, EPA President General. For more enquiries, call 080-3601-1439. God bless Ibraland. God bless Nigeria. Sign, Organizing Committee.
Point one. Redefining broadcasting.
X-ray. X-ray. X-ray.
Human Rights Radio.
X-ray.
This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
My name is Femi Adeshino. I'm the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. I'm proud to identify with Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. I'm glad that this station has come up at a time like this under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, a man that respects the human right of every Nigerian. Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
However, more of your and then Madam Maramas, you could more program Basalo and Bell and the family, Human Rights Radio, and more women again in Ottowa. So, I'm making a nation again, and if you can Nazi Ahmed, Human Radio, and me, and a man making a nation again, I own the nation and Novo, to Shinakan and Giallo, Kashineke. Sio wele na lolo na dani geye mbome zelo bu no bi osi bia no wa na ntemo na ekute.
Human Rights Radio.
X-ray.
Welcome back to X-Ray on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. On X-Ray, we try to take a look at the top and topical issues, if you like, making the rounds across Nigeria and beyond. We started off by taking a look at the story about the Nigerian government reinstating the ex-pension boss of the Rashid Maina and the eventual dismissal of that same person by Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. But now we move to another event, quite a trending topic that has occurred over the past few weeks and raising questions again about the ability of how best our institutions are on ground to manage certain cases. Monkeypox hoax and the military outreach in the southeast. And on this day on X-Ray we have Mr. Einaya Osisiogu, a community development activist from Aba, Abia State, who joins us today. You're welcome to X-Ray. It's good to have you.
Very much.
Now, the Southeast geopolitical zone was thrown into confusion last week after claims on social media went viral that some soldiers entered some primary and secondary schools and were forcefully ejecting pupils and students, injecting, I beg your pardon, pupils and students with poisonous substances, allegedly causing monkeypox. No fewer than 2 states, especially in the neighboring South Bayelsa and Rivers, have recorded cases of a similar ailment. So as soon as the information circulated, parents and guardians were said to have started rushing to schools to pressurize the authorities to allow them to take away their children from Imo to Anambra, Abia, Ebonyi, and Enugu states. The story was quite similar. Now, that's not so different from the story you remember we spoke about on this same platform about Ondo, Delta, and even far away Damaturu, Yobe State, where pandemonium over unusual injection rumor made pupils flee from schools. This is quite a rumor. Let's just say it is a rumor as far as information around Abuja is concerned. But what exactly is the situation?
Thank you very much. Like you called it, is a rumor, and of course the pandemonium of the monkeypox hoax has actually come as a very negative reaction to what it's supposed to have been the military's corporate social responsibility to the people of this ongoing, the then ongoing military operation called Operation Python Dance. Very importantly, it is actually anywhere in the world where you have military operations, it also comes with that medical outreach hand in glove together, just as a way of, one, corporate social responsibility, two, as also a way of bringing succor to the people should there be casualty, of course, on the part of the military or the other people. However, I think building up to that, the military should have also understood that there is a distrust between the people of the Southeast and the military as at that material time. Hence, there should have been some level of sensitization in the background.
Are you saying there was no form of sensitization in that instance?
No. In the instance of this, there was no form of sensitization. That is why that rumor could actually bring us to the level it brought us to, with the whole pandemonium, student leaving school abruptly, punctuating their academic activities, and even in some cases having serious casualties among the students who had to leave school abruptly and all whatnot. We felt that it was a good thing in a wrong way.
But that in itself is similar to what I mean, we had that incident in Ondo State and we talked about it on the program.
Yes, a few other states did the same thing. The scare, it started the monkeypox thing. This allegation that it was because of some kind of vaccines that were given to people in Bayelsa State, and that's why it came. So this put fear. People were scared, and that fear that this could be the same thing. So if they gave immunization in Bayelsa and people are done with this pox, I mean, if they give to us, we're also going to. So it's lack of understanding. There should be very good sensitization efforts before you do that.
I think somebody mentioned that.
Yeah, sure. She corroborated that same point. I think that is where the crux of the matter is going to be right now. That the military had to get the consent of the people. Yeah. Because security is not the capacity to react to violence should it arise. It is the capacity. It is not the capacity to mitigate violence should it arise, but the capacity to be proactive to stop it from happening. I think the military assumed a lot about how much they were so confident about what a good thing they wanted to do. After all, there have been several medical outreaches. Police always have their medical outreach here and there with their hospitals. So many medical outreaches from the Nigerians living abroad, from so many NGOs. People are used to it. It's not strange. Why do they react differently to this particular one that is coming from the ministry? It cannot divorce it from how negatively they receive the other activity going on the other hand, with the military action of Python dance. So it boils down to the fact that the people needed to have been sensitized, and usually in this kind of things you get all the critical stakeholders on board. Probably it's not out of place that even with the military being on ground, you can also have some of the known medical practitioners being part of that team, if it is possible. I don't know what what that entails in military ethics. The traditional rulers, the leaders of thought, and a lot of other people, some stakeholders should have been involved prior to the commencement of that military action. I think that is the area that I have to look into and be more proactive, so as to forestall future recurrence of such a negative trend. But again, it is important to note that it was a rumor that created a pandemonium, that the military would not have deliberately gone ahead to inject people with monkeypox vaccines. And of course, there should have been an evidence of okay, if some children were already injected before that pandemonium. So, and thank God we have not had any cases of
yes, because we also know that at some point there were rumors. Harry Spice, you can confirm that people kept saying they want to reduce the population of our people. Haven't we seen that even in the northern part of Nigeria? Questions about that. Is this a common thing that we can manage over time, having learned from the past experiences in Nigeria?
In war, especially, propaganda is a tool of warfare. Whether we like it or not, there was an attempted, acrimony in the East. So the outcome of that Python dance is the propaganda that thrived when the chickenpox wahala actually.
The monkeypox.
Monkeypox, at least there's pus in it. So, again, I'll blame the authority. You don't take decisions without critical studies. Information is very key. The National Orientation Agency, to me, is sleeping. While we're growing up, before immunizations are administered to children, announcements are made, on radio, on television, newspapers, community leaders get involved. You don't bring even food to my house without that you want to give my children food without informing me. It's not done anywhere. It happened in Kano, where a pharmaceutical company had to turn some children as spacemen, as the case may be. The NMA, it's a body that regulates certain things as far as medical intervention is concerned. What stops the military from intervening with, the military from intervening, collaborating with the NMA, the civil society organization, so that they can actually be at the forefront of their medical outreach. The military is synonymous with what? Gun, force, and now we've seen them trying to internalize themselves into a civic responsibility, which is a good thing, but it takes time. It takes concrete conscientization for this to happen. So next time, before this happens, they should create enough awareness, involve the community. There are civil society organizations in the communities that can actually do this.
But again, let's also ask Einaya, first things first. What kind of intervention have you noticed as a community development activist? There are different interventions by the military, and I gave the example in the Northeast on one of our programs. They were able to build bridges in places where the Boko Haram had attacked and destroyed. Nobody complained about that. Yeah. How come in this sense people are complaining? In both cases in the Northeast, we've had issues of crisis, issues of security. We also had issues of security in the Southeast. Why is it not properly managed in the Southeast?
Like I said, the case in the Southeast at that material moment is a very peculiar incident, because you cannot divorce it from the prevailing issues of IPOB that had hitherto created unrest in the Southeast. You cannot divorce it from the issue of the Igbo stance on marginalization and all that. You know, people can see that this from different perspectives. But the most important thing that one has to realize is that what actually happened in the Southeast, where are we coming from with that reason? So, like I said, where it was not properly managed is because the like we earlier pointed out, the underground workforce, so to speak, the PR or something that looks like that was not really done with the critical stakeholders who should have forestalled this from happening. Of course, we know that these rumors are coming from ready agents who are ready to take advantage of any little loophole to blow issues out of proportion. So that is what happened. So we know that these people are looking for any little opportunity to blow things up. And rumors spread in the South. It's not only with this military intervention. We have, you know, issues of even things are little at food. When you hear that Indomie is poison, that people are going to die if you eat Indomie, then after some weeks you now see a new brand of Indomie coming into the market. You know, I begin to see that strategy being used. Sometimes you hear that beans is killing people, or they have poisoned all the suya that are selling in a bar.
All those lies that do not exist.
And these things will spread. You begin to see them, you know, being shared on WhatsApp, and you know how quickly things spread on this. So I think before these things go far, we should have ready agents that are sensitized, that are armed with information, and if possible, part of this process that can come from those communities and then allay the fears of people. Religious agencies are also very important, especially in a very religiously vibrant area like the Southeast, in trying to curb the trend these things are going with any time they begin to come up. So I think again we cannot emphasize the place of critical stakeholders in trying to forestall or mitigate the speed at which these things are twisted. Again, because people don't even get to understand what actually happened. Because is the military really were they really vaccinating children? Of course, there was a medical outreach, but with the flag of, I think the chief of army staff did so in somewhere in Ebonyi State, and it was not said that there was going to be a vaccination. There's just military outreaches when people come in voluntarily with their whatever it is that they can assist them with. And you know, medical doctors, when they come to a place where they are supposed to begin to treat people who are injured, especially ranging from their men to other civilian casualties, after out of their corporate social responsibilities, they will begin to see other things they want to look into. If there are no casualty, medical doctor, I think they'll call it de-skill. They would not like to de-skill themselves or remain redundant while they are there. So these things are meant to serve so many purposes. And of course, in terms of vaccination, there is an agency of government that is saddled with the agency of with the responsibility of vaccination, which they are still very relevant, still very effective, and very professional at what they do. Whereas we have some of those resistances in the north or other parts of Nigeria, it has not really been so in the southeast, except for this very peculiar case now. So what we are yet to see those people come is pictorial evidences or other evidences that there were actually vaccination of children in the southeast. It is, of course, when we grew up in Aba, sometimes you would wake up in the afternoon, you will hear anybody that grew up in Aba will know, going to school in Aba will know one Mr. Oponko. They will come and say Mr. Oponko is coming. In fact, everybody leaves the school within a twinkle of an eye, and you see the road being very flooded. Everybody's going home because Mr. Oponko happened to be one principal of one high school that died while in office. So we feel that his spirit always comes at the end of every term to chastise students, because he feels his office was inside and students packed their lockers inside, and then he got jammed there and couldn't come out. So that was that you know, we didn't know it was just one of those myths that we didn't overcome. And you need to see how we usually respond to things like that. There are so many other myths that, you know, when people carry these rumors, it is not, even when there was no social media, you can see one man trekking all over Aboro Road. He will stop here and tell these people here, he stop here and tell, before you know it, the whole town has caught fire because of such things. So I think we also have to use, sometimes in vaccination, you use the same pathogens that cause the disease as an antidote for it.
Yes.
So the same social media that is used to create pandemonium can also be used to quell the pandemonium by social media, critical stakeholders in a very proactive way. Thank you.
Quite a very good one there. Harry Spice?
Yes, you know, information management is very key. And that is why effort must be made for every stakeholder to involve the media. The media is usually relegated in terms of budget planning, even in organization profiling. Where you find the media in the organogram is usually at the bottom. And meanwhile, the media ought to be at the forefront. Community leaders, state governments, federal government, private organization, we must begin to invest in media so that the bad guys will not take over the narrative. When you go to social media, you have more negative stories than very progressive and productive one. We must begin to dominate the sphere with positive talks. The National Orientation Agency is not doing enough as far as I'm concerned. They must try to galvanize all resources, especially those resources on social media, and turn them into positive vibes for the country. Otherwise, they have their way in causing, in stirring fears in the minds of people. And these fears, the damage these fears will cause, it's usually very huge. Now look at what has happened in the East. Medical intervention has stopped. You know, routine immunization, I'm sure nobody will want to take that again. And we're going to have more incidences of diseases ravaging these communities, because we're doing this. Government is doing this routine immunization to prevent killer diseases in children. But now, the bad guys took advantage of the fears around, and now they've sold a very thriving information, and that is what the people are using. Again, the people must begin to believe in government than they believe in social media or media information. I should believe my traditional ruler more than I should believe somebody on social media. If we don't believe our leaders, will be led astray. Even the holy books talked about allegiance to our leaders, because they are the one that intercede for us and the ancestral beings. So we must actually, whatever the government, it's not everything that government does it's to our own detriment. Government does more good for us than we think. We must always believe in information that comes from government.
You will make good of this program if you call us up on 081 89 99 1011. Call us up and make a contribution to the program. It's X-Ray. We started off by taking a look at the saga in the Ministry of Interior, and now we're taking a look at the whole monkeypox rumor and the damage it has caused and why we need to curb it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to X-Ray.
Yeah, Mr. Africa, God bless you. My name is Muhammad Kabir. I'm calling from Nikau.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. My regards to the birthday. You've done well on the top of the birthday.
Amen.
Where the area that interested me more is the issue of MENA, the corruption aspect. Thank God, our dear president has done what is right by giving the order of sacking him. Then the sacking should not end there. Proper investigation to EFCC. I don't know what is happening about EFCC. If you can declare somebody wanted for this way and just suddenly he attained to the country and then being employed straightforward. I don't know, something is wrong somewhere. And we just have, the government just have to be on their feet. Because, see, the end of Nigeria is not Nigeria of today. We are watching, listening, day and night, watching what is going on. Because the mess that has been happening for the past is gone. This generation, we are watching. We want the right thing to be done. And therefore, if that be the case, some people must be answerable for his employment, number one. Number two is that the EFCC and ICPC, they are not working. Because if they are working, they want to tell us that they didn't have network, that's either the means, those who, how he got into the country, or they don't know where he is, how, I don't know, something is happening. We need more enlightenment on this issue. We need more enlightenment. And again, our House of Press, our senators that they are representing Nigerians over there, because that's the reason more why, if you have some issues, we keep it on us. We know they are representing us there. If they are doing so on our own behalf, they should be on their feet, do the right thing. What we want as far as Nigeria is concerned today is to eliminate corruption out of this country on the federal level. We don't want corruption to exist in this country. If that is the case, we are calling them. They should do the right thing. Or something has happened about Zero Milani, the issue of recalling or what have you. We know they are trying to put their own energy and what have you, in order for us not to let that thing happen. The right thing must be done in this country. By all means, we call on to them, they should do the right thing. All the necessary support for EFCC and the ICPC that will make them to be on their foot, doing the right thing on this country, they should do it. That is their own case side. Then, come back to the media end. Thank God for human rights. Today, you people are, although we are still watching you too, but for as far as now is concerned, you are doing what we Nigerians expected. Giving the right, giving each individual his own right, and giving equality to every individual, no matter what tribe he is or what religion he is. That is what we want all the Nigerian media houses to be on their feet, doing the right thing, because the Nigeria itself belongs to us, all of us. If Nigeria is good today, it's good for all. God bless Human Rights Radio. God bless our ordinary president, and God bless Nigeria as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and God bless you too. Don't forget to ask God to bless you too. Yeah. All right, so let's take more calls. Hello?
Yeah, hello. Good evening, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Mr. David, calling from Majesty.
David, you're welcome.
I want to ask a question. Before this military treatment take out for the tax house, are there any information to inform the citizen?
Well, our guest will answer that.
Yes, my own question is that, is there animals that you have and within your vicinity, just wake up one day you say you decided to do anything that you want to do with it, but you talk about life and human beings. I want some statements of one proprietor, one of the schools after. She was surprised when the way she came in with their treatment. She wasn't informed. And everyone scattered, the teacher started running. You cannot just, as a Nigerian soldier, everybody that sees that uniform, but in this game, we put upon ground view. But those people, they should have been informed. First and foremost, you're talking about organization, in measure thing. When we see the people, we know that we go bigger than children. Okay, come out. They are here because we know they have been doing this thing for a long time. But this new system, nobody is aware. According to my own understanding, whether it was published in the newspaper or in the media, I don't know. But we are just getting information. Even when I travel to a real state in Nigeria, I mentioned my children and my cousin brothers' children at home. What happened? They said because of the police and the soldiers, they want to come and treat students so that the parents ask them to stay at home. So it's misinformation. That is my own understanding. Whether this treatment was announced to the people before carrying out this treatment of the military. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. Let's see if we can take one more and then get final reactions, or let's just go straight up to your reaction.
Thank you very much. My brother that called from Abia State has talked about whether people were informed. Exactly what we were talking about much earlier. That there needed to have been a proper sensitization with the word proper in bold characters, because we know that the military probably has made announcements about the Python dance operation. And I think in that statement, which some of us read carefully, it actually contained that they were going to do some medical outreaches, which the Chief of Army Staff duly launched in Ebonyi State. But what we're telling our people is that the perspective this was going to take, that military was going to be coming to vaccinate students in the school, is neither here nor there. The military could have been anywhere because it's a military exercise, but that they are vaccinating people, we were yet to see pictorial evidences or any proprietor of such school coming out to say that these things actually took place in their schools. So what we heard as a rumor was a bit different from what was going on out there. So what we want to say very categorically is that yes, there was a military operation in the southeast which everybody agrees with, and one aspect of it is the medical outreach. However, vaccination of children in their schools, however, this one is a different issue. It is a very different issue in a very delicate and volatile time where people took advantage to blow up issues out of our profession. And I want to advise finally that our people, we already have a lot of problems in our hands. We already have problems of infrastructure, have problems of deprivation. We talk about marginalization. We must not marginalize ourselves anymore.
All right.
We must also be must not be architect of our own destruction any longer. Okay. We must be very, very objective, discerning and progressive in anything we do for the good of our people and for the posterity for our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, unfortunately, I cannot get final comments from you, our panelists in the studio. But I'd like to thank you, Ainaya Osiogu, a community development activist from Aba, Abia State, for joining us. We also like to thank you, Ikeke, for being part of the program.
Thank you.
Our response, we hope to see you tomorrow on the program as well. Have a great time. Thank you for calling us on the program, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm Peter. Bye-bye.